The steam in the bathroom hadn't yet dispersed. Hyeodong stood under the shower, hot water rushing over her body, but it couldn't wash away the image of that man in her mind. He? That name was like a scar carved on her heart. 5 years had passed, yet even the slightest touch still made it bleed. The dream was too vivid to the point of shame. Zhu Yuanzhes pale, slender hands. That black tie. His low, husky voice by her ear. And that line, only children make choices. You're an adult, you can have it all. Bastard. She cursed under her breath, reaching out to turn off the water. She dried herself and stepped out of the bathroom. The room was quiet. She changed into comfortable langue and was about to tidy the messy bed when the lock suddenly made a soft click sound. Hyeodong's hand jerked, nearly dropping the towel. Babe, surprise! What a shock! Han Mimi swept in like a whirlwind, carrying a black tote bag printed with the logo of a certain adult brand. A mischievous "I've got it all figured out" grin on her face. Huh, how do you have the key? Hyeodong massaged her temples. How could she forget? This close friend had always had a spare key to her place. I timed it perfectly. Figured you'd just be up. Tian Mimi tossed her bag onto the sofa, helping herself to a glass of water. What? Was I interrupting you reminiscing about your dream? Tian Mimi. Hyeodong flushed with embarrassment, grabbing a cushion and throwing it at her. Tian Mimi nimbly dodged, laughing heartily. Don't be shy. Physical needs are human instinct. As your best IE, and as a professional designer, it's my duty to help you solve this problem. She walked over, opened the black tote bag, and pulled out a beautifully wrapped book. Here. This is the new product I told you about. Tian Mimi pushed the box towards Hyeodong mysteriously. World premiere internal beta version. I don't let just anyone test it. Hyeodong instinctively shrank back, but her eyes involuntarily drifted towards the box. The packaging was high-end, minimalist in style, but the abstract line drawing on it betrayed its true nature. Is this what you call super intense? Hyeodong's voice was dry. Yes, Cotton Beam Thunder, Tian Mimi said proudly. Our team developed this for a whole year. It uses the latest bionic tech and a high-frequency vibration motor to simulate the ultimate experience. Plus, it has smart sensors that automatically adjust frequency and intensity based on your response. Hyeodong looked at the box, but her mind uncontrollably flashed to Zhu Yuanzhes' face. That man was a precise instrument himself, always finding her weak spots with deadly accuracy, making her crumble every time. I don't need it. She turned her head away, adamant. Come on. What's the use of being stubborn? Tian Mimi stuffed the box into her hands. I heard your voice on the phone just now, dry and tight. A clear sign of dehydration. Besides, this is just to help you relax. Stop dwelling on that heartless jerk. Who's dwelling on him? Hyeodong retorted, but her face reddened. Fine. Fine, you're not. Tian Mimi picked up her car keys, ready to leave. I've got a design meeting. I'll leave this here. Use it or not, it's up to you. The instructions are in the box. Very simple. With that, Tian Mimi breezed out, leaving Hyeodong alone in the living room, holding the hot potato. The room fell silent again. Hyeodong looked at the box in her hand, hesitated for a long time, and finally threw it into the drawer of the bedside table, as if she could lock away all those messy thoughts along with it. She walked to the window and pulled back the curtains. Sky over Jingbi was gray, just as in her dream. Snow had begun to fall. It was the first snow of the year, swirling down as if trying to cover all the city's crime. Her phone rang again. This time, it was her brother, Qi Jingsheng. Tang Tang, I've landed. See you at the airport. Okay, I'm heading out now. Hyeodong took a deep breath, forcing herself to push those suggestive thoughts aside. Today was her brother's return. She couldn't be thinking about such messy things. He changed into a beige cashmere coat, wrapped his scarf around her neck, put on gloves, grabbed her car keys and left. Outside, the snow was falling heavier. The road's a bit slippery. Hyeodong drove carefully, Half an hour later, she arrived at the airport. The arrivals hall was bustling with people. He Yadong stood at the exit, standing on tiptoe to look. Finally, a tall figure appeared at the gate. He Jingxing pushed a luggage cart, wearing a deep gray wrench coat and gold-rimmed glasses, looking every bit the elegant, refined British gentleman. Seeing He Yadong, a gentle smile spread across his face and he waved. Brother. He Yadong ran over and threw herself into his arms. Careful, the ground is slippery. He Jingxing affectionately ruffled her hair. You've lost weight. Haven't been eating properly again? No way. I've actually gained weight recently. Yadong pouted playfully. The siblings chatted as they walked out. He Jingxing was back this time to handle business at the domestic branch and would be staying for a while. Brother, what do you want for dinner tonight? They'll treat you to welcome you back. Anything. You decide. As they were talking, just as they reached the parking lot entrance, a sharp screech of brakes suddenly rang in their ears. Blinding headlights shone directly at them, forcing them to squint. He Yadong instinctively narrowed her eyes before she could react. A black Maybach, like a rampaging beast, roared through the barrier and charged straight towards them. Watch out. He Jingxing reacted swiftly, shoving He Yadong aside and throwing himself to the ground. Bang! A loud crash surplusing. The Maybach slammed hard into a nearby pillar. Sparks flying. The body was badly deformed. Airbags deployed. White powder filling the air. The crowd around them erupted in screams, scattering in all directions. He Yadong fell to the ground, her elbows and knees burning with pain. Ignoring herself, he scrambled up and ran towards the crashed Maybach. Brother, are you okay? He Jingxing also got up from the ground, his face pale but relatively calm. I'm fine. What about you? I'm okay too. He Yadong's heart was still pounding. She turned to look at the wrecked car. The person inside seemed to be unconscious. He Yadong hesitated for a moment, then walked over and knocked on the driver's side window. The window slowly rolled down. The airbag had completely deployed, like a huge cloud, engulfing the person in the driver's seat. The air was filled with the smell of gasoline and the pungent odor of the exploded airbag. He Yadong's heart was pounding wildly. She stood on tiptoe, her gaze piercing through the white powder, and finally saw the man's face clearly. In that instant, time seemed to freeze. The man's eyes were closed, black hair disheveled across his brow. That face was still breathtakingly handsome, with sharp contours and a high bridged nose. But now his usually cold and proud brow was tightly furrowed, a deep wound on his temple. Fresh, crimson blood was slowly flowing down his pale skin, past his tightly closed eyelids, onto his tall nose bridge, and finally dropping beside his pale, bloodless thin lips. That blood stain, like a thunderbolt, shattered the floodgates of He Yadong's memory. It was him. How could it be him? He Yadong felt as if an invisible hand had seized her heart, making it hard to breathe. 5 years. She thought she'd never see him again in this lifetime. That man who made her sink in her dreams, yet left her in despair and reality. Chuya Anzi he. At this moment he was no longer the emperor in her memory, the one who controlled everything. Proud and unrestrained, he was trapped in the deformed seat, wrapped in the airbag, looking so fragile, so helpless. Those deep eyes that had once made her sink and unable to extricate herself were now tightly shut. His long, thick eyelashes were dotted with tiny droplets of blood, and under the harsh light, they actually exuded a heartbreaking sense of brokenness. He Yadong's hands began to tremble uncontrollably. She wanted to back away, but her feet seemed rooted to the spot, unable to move. The Shuya Enzi he in her memory was a wild wolf, a king who controlled everything. His fingers were pale and slender, yet they could always easily dictate her fate. He would use that black dye to blindfold her, deprive her of her sight, and then coax and cajole her, seducing and persuading, until she crumbled in his arms. But now, that proud man, the man who made her love and hate him, was lying there quietly, his face stained with blood. Tang Tang don't look. Call the police. He Jingxing walked over, blocking her, his voice steady. He Yutong snapped back to reality, her fingertips ice minus cold. Just then, the person in the car seemed to stir. Zhu Nzh's brow furrowed slightly. His long, thick eyelashes fluttered, and he slowly opened his eyes. Those eyes, once deep as the sea, now seemed somewhat unfocused from piquant confusion. He blinked blankly, his gaze focusing in the air, and finally, it landed on Yutong outside the car window. Their eyes met. Zhu Yanzh's gaze shifted from initial confusion to clarity, and finally, it settled into a kind of indescribable, complex emotion. He looked at her, his lips moving as if he wanted to say something. But no sound came out. Yutong's heart trembled violently. The sound of sirens grew louder, approaching. Zhu Yanzh's vision began to blur. He looked at Yutong, a flicker of urgency flashing in his eyes, as if he wanted to grasp something. It was powerless. Finally, his eyes slowly closed, and his head drooped limply to one side. Zhu Yanzi, Yutong instinctively called out. Her body moved faster than her mind, reaching out to try and open the car door. But the door was already deformed. Immovable. Jingxing grabbed her wrist. Tang Tang. Calm down. The ambulance is almost here. Yutong stood in the wind and snow, watching as the paramedics lifted Zhu Yanzi onto a stretcher. His face was still pale, the blood stain on his temple shocking. Snowflakes fell on her face, icy cold. She knew that from this moment on, some things could never go back to the way they were.